Part 3. The Silo. Saint Casimir's real name was Kazimierz. He died very young, in his 20s. Kazimierz refused to be married, even though his father had arranged for a princess as a boy's bride. Because of that, Kazimierz is revered for his chastity and purity. He is considered the patron saint of Poland, and also the patron saint of the young. Maybe Saint Kazimierz was considered the patron for the young because he refused to do what his father told him to do. History shows that all teenage boys can empathize with that. Empathize. But maybe Kazimierz did not get married to the princess because he was confused about what he wanted and what he expected it, and what was expected of him, just like me. Among the wonders credited to Kazimierz is an account of how the young prince somehow miraculously contributed to a victory of the Polish army over the Russians. Apparently the Russians masturbated excessively. A tough day at Curtis Crane Lutheran Academy. History lesson for the day. The more time you wait before telling somebody the truth about a secret you've been keeping, the longer your path out of the woods gets. What am I going to do, Ingrid? I said. I came straight home from school that day. I threw my Lutheran boy patriotic candy cane outfit on the floor of my bedroom and sat down at my desk. I tried to figure things out as I drew pictures and wrote my stories, but everything only became more muddled and confused. It had been a tough day at school. I did not know what to say to Robbie. I tried all day to come up with some coherent story to tell Shan. The story would have been an abbreviation, naturally, but I would have to go back to the moment Robbie and I left her alone in the backseat of his Ford Explorer on Friday night in the Grasshopper Jungle. I would not tell her about the experiments, or what was and was not normal for teenage boys to do, according to the popular psychologist who, although a middle-aged female with cosmetic lip surgery, was a foremost authority on teenage boys. I thought about how I would describe the things Robbie and I saw inside her stepfather's office, and I could only hope Shane would not ask me why I had taken Robbie down there in the first place, because I was not sure why Robbie and I did go down there. All I knew was that I liked doing things with Robbie that were not supposed to do, normal or not. I curled my bare toes in Ingrid's fur. She let out big, contented breath, like she was exhaling a billowing puff of soothing cigarette smoke. What am I going to say to Shan, Ingrid? And Robbie phoned after that. He asked if I was mad at him, and I told him of course not. That was a dumb thing for him to ask. Then he said, "Okay, Porcupine. I was just scared about it since he wouldn't talk to me at school. Can you skate down to Grasshopper Jungle? I need to show you something." I needed a cigarette too. So I said, "Okay, Rob. Give me 15 minutes. I kicked around through my scattered wardrobe. I was running out of non-Lutheran boy clothes. Slipped on my basketball shorts. I closed my eyes and imagined a prayer to Saint Kazimierz to protect me against getting hit in the balls or having an erection in front of anyone. I pulled on a black shins t-shirt, found some socks under my bed, got my skate shoes and board, and went down into the hallway. I said to Ingrid, "Don't toast any brownies till Dad lets you out." Ingrid made a dog sigh and put her chin down between her paws. Bugs do two things. And on that Monday night, Robbie Breeze and I were going to get drunk together for the first time in our lives. We had already planned it out. I had obtained permission from my mother and father to spend the night at the Del Vista Arms luxury apartments and go to school with Robbie in the morning. It's not like I could back out now. I had spent the night at the Del Vista Arms before, My father trusted Robbie. Robbie was never late to class at Curtis Crane Lutheran Academy. Robbie never caused school-wide controversies by doing such things as reading books about Catholic boys who masturbate. Also, there was no reason for anybody to not trust Robbie Breeze. I trusted Robbie enough to stay at the Del Vista Arms. 2 of the people who lived on Robbie's floor smoked meth. The night before, on Sunday, Robbie and I stood in a young cornfield and watched Hungry Jack's body split apart. We saw a bug the size of a small bear climb out of him. The other 6 victims of contained MI plague strain 412E had not hatched yet. Bugs do 2 things. They eat and they fuck. Bugs are soldiers, machines, just like Hungry Jack was. Bug 1, the bug that hatched from Hungry Jack, wanted to eat and fuck. It ate most of what was left of Hungry Jack. It wanted to find Eileen Pope, Travis Pope's wife. It wanted to make more bugs with her. Ealing, Iowa was just like Eden 5 for a new planet of horny soldiers. Robbie was already in the alley when I got to Grasshopper Jungle. He waited for me behind the Tipsy Cricket lickers. When I skated up to him, he held an unlit cigarette in his mouth. Robbie always waited for me. It made smoking better. Louis, the cook from the pancake house, whose real name was Ah Won Sing, had just thrown a cardboard box full of potato peelings, empty milk cartons, and eggshells into the dumpster. He spilled some peelings onto the sleeper sofa. He brushed them away with his hands. I wonder if he knows what pubic lice are, Robbie said. I've seen Louis take a nap on that couch before, I said. Louis smiled and nodded at us as he walked across the alleyway. Louis did not speak English very well, so when Robbie asked me if I wanted a fag, Louis got embarrassed. He made it obvious that he was trying to not listen to us, which made it obvious that he was listening to us. Hello, Louis, I said. Robbie struck a match for me and I got my cigarette going. Louis said, Hello, Dynamo. Ah Wong Sing believed that Dynamo was my real name. Louis hung out with all the Jungfrau. They played online alien hunter games and looked at porn together. I thought maybe if I did more shit like that with Robbie, it might make me feel normal and not so confused. Louis kept smiling nervously and disappeared through the back door of the pancake house's kitchen. We smoked. Louis, you're still coming over to get drunk with me, right? Robbie said. I don't know about getting drunk, Rob. It's been a weird couple days. Maybe I'll just watch you do it, you know? Like, keep you safe and shit. I said, like in the 60s, guys used to do that for their buddies when they dropped acid. I'm not dropping acid. I'm not going to get drunk if you don't, Robbie said. I felt guilty about my attempt to back down. We skated through the alley without saying anything. When we were down by the dumpster, I stopped and asked Robbie what he wanted to show me. He carried the rolled-up front section of the Waterloo News and Gazette in his back pocket. When he unrolled it, I already had a premonition that there would be something about the accident outside Waterloo, about what had happened to Hungry Jack. Look at this, Robbie said. There's a photograph of Hungry Jack's dirty and laceless shoes lying beside the highway. In the grainy background, I saw the Tally-Ho and Fire at Will's indoor shooting range and gun shop. The photograph was like staring through a portal in time. The short article said that a transient had been struck and killed by a motorist, and there were no witnesses. Yeah, transient was a nice way to say homeless. Homeless makes people think of despair. It makes you think the United States of America doesn't care about people. Transient sounds like you have a case of wanderlust. Wanderlust is a part of the American spirit. The transient in the article had been carrying a military ID card that gave his name as Charles R. Hooford. Hungry Jack's real name was Charles R. Hooford. He was born in Indianapolis in 1950. In 1950, Harry S. Truman was president of the United States. Harry Truman, as far as I can tell, also never took a shit in his life. In 1950, the same year that a boy named Charles R. Hufford was born in Indianapolis, President Harry S. Truman sent military assistance to the French. They were trying to maintain their French Catholic colony in Vietnam. That military aid would grow and blossom to the point that a boy with wanderlust from Indiana named Charles R. Hufford ultimately took time out from fucking whatever he wanted to fuck to participate in the killing of an entire village of women, elderly people, and children. History is full of shit like that. All roads intersect on pages on my desk. All roads spring up along trails worn down by boys on bikes. All roads lead past shooting ranges, liquor stores, and gay bars. Wanderlust is a part of the American spirit. The article went on to say that Charles R. Hufford's body had been brutalized by coyotes before being discovered by a farmer Monday morning. It asked for anyone with information to phone the Iowa State Patrol. I said. I rolled the newspaper up and handed it back to Robbie. We never called anyone about what happened to Hungry Jack. We had been uncharacteristically silent back inside Robbie's Explorer in the lot outside the tally-ho. Robbie sped all the way home to Ealing. We smoked and smoked. I think Robbie was crying too. Robbie and I were in shock. That is a poor excuse for someone who feels obligated to record history, but that's what happened. It was our day, and you do know what I mean. We did see the same thing, Rob. People would think we were dropping acid. Shit like this isn't supposed to happen, Robbie said, but it did. Maybe we should get drunk. Then Robbie said, that bug. It was the same thing we saw in Josiah Johnny's office. Like I said, we saw the same thing, Robbie. It was getting on to evening. We decided to take Robbie's car and pick up my school clothes and sleeping bag. I always slept on the floor at Robbie's apartment. If I could put my ear to the floor, I sometimes could hear the meth smokers down the hall fighting with each other. But as we were skating back through the alley, just when we came to the spot where Grant Wallace and the Hoover boys had beaten us up the day earlier, Robbie and I noticed something on the piss-covered blacktop of the alley. Grant Waugh. It was the message Robbie started spelling out in the blood that dripped from his nose. Letters gave off a pale blue glow in the dimming light of the evening. Robbie said. I said, yes, I see that too, Robbie. Good night. Sleep well. Or I'll sleep well. Be good.